Hello and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by Safety Chain Software and Food Safety Tech. My name is Patty Murray with Food Safety Tech, and we're excited to be hosting this webinar on the impact of food safety and quality mobile technology. We do have a lot of very valuable information to get through today, and so we're going to get right to it. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce you to your moderator for today's webinar, Jill Bender, Vice President of Marketing for Safety Chain Software. Jill?
Thank you, Patty, and thank you for everyone that's joining us today. Happy Friday. We are absolutely delighted to present today's session. I think we have quite a bit of information and informative thoughts and insights to share, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. Today's session is going to be focusing on the impact of food safety and quality mobile technology, and I'm real excited to hear from the session panelists that are joining us today, talking about a little bit of their operational efficiencies being achieved, how they're utilizing mobile tablets, and more importantly, what are some of the lessons learned. So for today, I'm delighted to have two folks with us. Alejandro Canelos with Apache Produce Imports. He's the CEO, and delighted that he'll be sharing his story today, as well as Travis Connally with SROriginals, who's on the quality side as well. And then, of course, myself, Jill Bender, with Safety Chain Software. Before we get started, always a few quick housekeeping tips. If you are having technical issues with WebEx, or if you can't hear this too clearly through the computer speakers, there is a number to call into when you're in the WebEx platform. We will be sending out a link to this recording early next week. And then always, for your privacy, we have set it up that on WebEx you can only see yourself online. But I am delighted to have quite a few people with us today. I think we'll have a really engaging session. So for today's agenda, I'm going to be talking just at a very high level. We're talking about food safety and quality operations and the impact mobile technology can have. Then we'll dive right into talking with our session panelists today on the impact that they have achieved at their respective organizations and some of the adoptions and lessons learned. And then hopefully we'll have some time for questions and answers. I always like to be very cognitive of everyone's time, so we will make sure that we end at the time frame that we allotted. Let's go ahead and get going. With any session that we talk about with Safety Chain, we always like to really come back to and distill down what are we trying to achieve here. When we talk about, and we use the acronym FSQA for everyone, obviously they know it's Food Safety and Quality Assurance. Really, what is the goal? The goal of the operations to deliver a safe, quality product, whether it's a supply, a produce, if you're manufacturing, you're distributing, you're on the retail side, it's all about oversight of that safety and quality within that operations. And as you all know, within the operations of the food safety and quality assurance teams, there is just a storm of requirements and complexities surrounding your everyday lives, whether it's your customer requirements or regulatory, FSMA, USDA. Many, a large percentage are adopting and or going towards GFSI or some other non-regulatory standards. And how best to deal with your complex supply chain or supplier compliance. You know, it all comes down to how are you managing those records and data day in and day out, and sort of that, ability to really be responsive, whether it's inquiries or audits. And, we look at this as sort of this perfect storm, if you will, of riding a wave every single day in the operational team. And we hear this from our customers day in, day out, that it's not an easy task to manage all these different components of your operations. But when you really get down to it, the critical success factors, and we hear this, all the time, really comes down to three key components. One is your program design, and that design that's always being modified and improved upon. And then the execution and making sure that the day-to-day operations is meeting the requirements of your program. The second component is data intelligence, that having the data at the earliest point possible to act upon all your food safety and quality data you're gathering every day, but also having that from a trending standpoint and reporting to facilitate the ongoing continuous improvement. And then certainly the last key component of records management, and really that comes down to enabling time and response, whether it's for inquiries, for audits, whatever the requirements may be. So when you think about that and all the different complexities surrounding food safety and quality operations, it really gets down to distilled to these three areas. But the one biggest challenge that we see that sort of ties really nicely in today's topic is that food safety and quality operations, as we know, you're not sitting at your desk. You're not, holed up in the office just typing away. You're everywhere, and your program execution spans across the entire operations. And again, it doesn't really matter if you're produce or if you're a distributor or if you're, a quick service restaurant. As a food safety and quality professional, it really, you're everywhere. And with that, you have every task, every program execution, every inquiry, every single component of your food safety program has to be managed across your operation, regardless of where you are. So with that, what I'd like to do is introduce our first panelist for today. And he's going to share specifically about the impact mobile technology has had at Apache, and so really share within his, I've asked him to really hone in on a quality component and how technology is having an impact. So with that, I'm delighted. Thank you so much, Alejandro, for spending your time with us today. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. As Jill said, my name is... Go ahead.
Oh, no, please.
As Jill said, I'm just going to give you a little background about our company. We are a produce distributor on the border, U.S.-Mexico border. We bring in greenhouse vegetables from Mexico. And I think the best way I can describe it is to say that we handle fresh, perishable product, and we have vegetables coming into our 3 warehouses on a daily basis. Normally, we have 20 truckloads of vegetables coming in on a given day, and all of those 20 loads of vegetables ideally are going to be gone within 3 days. So there's minimal handling here. We actually do as little as possible. But for us, we have a particular quality assurance need, and that is that we need to take a snapshot of all that product while it's in our warehouse for 2 reasons. One, so that we can have confidence in the quality of the product that we're sending to our customers, and also that we can identify problems and give constant feedback to our suppliers in terms of what issues they might or might not be having. And so obviously, when we have such a short time window, time is of the essence for us, and we're doing what we're trying to do. We do ship all over the U.S., and I'll get into a little bit more about that later.
Okay.
As I said, we have 3 warehouses. I talked about the quality control. I think I mentioned here that we have arriving, departing on a daily basis, and that quality inspection data is all about timeliness for us and the ability to respond quickly. So I think we can go to the next one, Jill.
Okay, great. Thank you, Alejandro. And again, so appreciate the overview of your operations and the key challenges. I know in the key thing that we're going to move on to is really talking about your mobile usage and sort of the business drivers around it and the before and after. So I will just go ahead and let you dive in and talk about sort of the first business driver.
Okay. So the first driver for us is the product comes in and we have to collect data. The way we've done it for decades is we have in-house inspectors that go out and do inspections on paper forms, and then we have a lot of third-party inspections done also so that we can actually inspect enough product to be confident that we've got a handle on what's going on. In our case, the third-party inspections were done by Arizona Department of Agriculture according to USDA specs. Those inspections cost money, but it just was never feasible for us to have enough in-house inspections done, and it wasn't fast enough to be able to just rely on in-house. Also, after inspections were done, if it was a third-party inspection, that inspection was a paper form that would get faxed to a supplier and then would be filed somewhere here in the offices. And the in-house inspections, our QA people would then have to take the paper form and re-enter the information into a spreadsheet if we wanted to have any kind of ability to do analysis or trending or sending more than one piece of paper at once down to a grower, those kinds of things. Once the mobile technology came along, we realized it allowed us to completely change the way that we were collecting this data. We no longer do any third-party inspections, and with the QA personnel that we already have, inspections are so much faster that we can actually do everything we need to do with the personnel that we currently have. And once an inspection is done on a tablet, that information is available immediately, so there's no coming back to the desk and putting something into a spreadsheet. There's no faxing forms. There's nothing like that. So that was the big impact on the data collection side, just being able to actually collect the data with far fewer resources. So if we can go to data. So the next stage, after we've collected the data, is analysis. Did you want to say something, Jill?
No, I was going to prompt you. This is great. Thank you.
Okay. So before we would get a collection of third-party inspection forms and in-house inspection forms. In some cases, they'd be retyped into a spreadsheet, and trying to get a snapshot of what the product in our 3 warehouses looks like that's going to be gone tomorrow was challenging. And really, we were basically only able to focus on things that sort of jumped out at us, and we were limited into what kind of analysis that we could do. Now, what's so great about the technology that we have with the mobile tablet is when our in-house inspector goes out and does an inspection, we have preset grade levels and specifications. So if there's a product that is being inspected that doesn't make grade, as soon as the inspector hits finished, or that's the end of the inspection, an email will go out to, if it's depending on which supplier it is, to the supplier of the product, to the sales staff, to me, to our other QA personnel saying, hey, this load that just came in has this problem. And whoever gets that email can actually click a link, go in and see the full results of the inspection, which are going to include, say, a pallet tag which has traceback information. So let me take it from the grower perspective and then the salesperson perspective. If I'm a grower and I'm down on the farm and I get an email saying this particular lot didn't make grade, well, I can go in and look at it and I can figure out where it came from, what day it got packed, who packed it, all of that information that's already contained, and I can immediately go see if the problem that they're seeing is something that I can see down here. That's from the grower perspective. So having that real-time information is critical, and that just was not possible before. I mean, you're getting a stack of faxes at the end of the day of inspections, or you might be getting an email at the end of the day with a spreadsheet, and it just wasn't, by then it's too late, really, in our business. From the salesperson's side, if they're on the sales desk and they're selling product and something's out of grade, they need to know about it immediately. And so what the mobile technology once again allows is that information gets to our sales staff immediately also, so they know what it is they're actually selling. And so they might need to call up a customer and say, hey, I got a load of these bell peppers and they got this problem. And it's important in our business that people know what they're selling and the customers know what they're getting, so that the relationships we have with our customers over the long haul can be maintained. Finally, it's actually, I would say we're only sort of scratching the surface on all the abilities of what this tablet technology can do for us, and that's when it comes to trending, because all of the data is in the platform and it can be organized in an infinite number of ways. And what we're really excited about going forward is figuring out how it would work for us best to set up trending, so that even if something is within grade, but if the program could allow us to identify trends and possibly even prevent something go out of grade before it happens, that's a wonderful thing to be able to do, and this kind of technology definitely allows for that. So we've talked about data collection at Apache. We've talked about data analysis now. Finally is data distribution. I guess I talked a little bit about that on the analysis, but basically it allows us to send data really that both our salespeople and our suppliers actually need to see. That's a big part of it, actually, because what we would do before, we would just send everything. And somebody at some point would have to sit down and decide what needs to be looked at and what's relevant and what isn't. And what this software does with the mobile technology is to be able to set up guidelines that automatically decide who needs to get what data and when. And that's been a fantastic thing for us, very exciting. Also, and this is I guess a side issue, but because of the tablet, we can now have our inspectors take photographs and attach them to a quality inspection, which, as you can imagine, before, when you're dealing with paper forms, I don't even know, you would have to take a paper form, scan it in, take a photograph, attach it, and then send it to somebody. But this, every inspection is done. You've got your tablet. Take as many pictures as you want. That data is stored inside of that inspection. And really, it's up to whoever's getting the data. They can look at as much or as little of that stuff as they want. And that's the beauty of this, is all of the information is available, but it's well organized, easy to get to. So I always say I'm a big proponent of record keeping. Record keeping doesn't get the fanfare of some of the other stuff here, but for me, certainly in our business, and I know a lot of other businesses, with the way that FSMA rules are changing the way that records have to be kept and accessible, I can't imagine going forward being able to effectively keep records without having a platform. And the mobile technology feeds right into that, because every inspection that's done on our mobile tablet is immediately stored somewhere that can be very easily accessed at any time. I see I've written here, basement filled with boxes. That's not an exaggeration. I maybe should have taken a picture, because it's a classic basement filled with boxes of, among other things, inspections. And if down the road we wanted to go look at something, much less find a trend, it just really, it just wasn't possible. And now the data is available anytime, anywhere. So it's been very exciting for us, and it's been a big change. And one of the neat things about it is when we started, we had a pretty limited scope, but we're getting more and more excited about all the different things we've been able to do with this.
Great. Thank you. I just had this very big visual, and I just wrote it down. I'm like, we should always have our customers do a before of all the data in the boxes. We hear this all the time. We've seen it, of just a basement filled with paperwork, and then sort of the after. So I think everyone on board here can certainly relate to that visual that you provided. So I think just in sort of talking about in summary, I know you've talked about this a lot, but would you just mind sharing with us, Alejandro, sort of just at a very high level again, so that the results we achieved, that would be wonderful.
Sure. As I said, we spent $150,000 a year on USDA inspections here, and that was, again, because we felt like we needed to do that in order to have a good picture on a daily basis of what was coming in and out of here. And since we adopted this mobile technology, we actually have completely eliminated the need for that. So that is something that gets charged to our suppliers. So that is a major value add for us as a distributor that we can offer to our suppliers is to say, look, we're going to have a really good idea of what the quality is of your product coming in and out of here. And besides that, it's not going to cost you anything because we don't need to do these inspections anymore. And that's been a really big deal. On the sales side, I just wanted to give an example. I think it's kind of fun to give real-life examples. We need to keep our customers honest in the perishable product business. So I'm going to give an example. We ship a load of tomatoes to Cleveland. And at the receiving end, we get a complaint that there's some kind of quality issue with the product. The first thing we want to do in that case is go back and check our quality inspection of either that load, or if we don't, obviously we don't inspect every pallet of every load, but we can go see an inspection that was done from the same farm lot on the same day. And so, for example, if the problem they're reporting at destination is something that we saw a little bit of in our inspection, we can say, yeah, this is something we need to look into, and this is something that we're going to have to deal with on this customer. But if we look at inspections that are from the same lot or from the same day or even from that actual lot that was sold, and we didn't see any sign of that, then maybe we realize there's something else going on. Maybe something happened in transit, or maybe our customer has an issue with the market going down, which often happens in this business, and is looking to get a little bit of a discount. And so besides the salespeople now having a better understanding of what they actually have in their warehouse, they also have more confidence in what they send out. If they get feedback from a customer, they have a better way to go back and check whether it matches up with what we've been seeing here in the warehouse. And that's incredibly important for us. In terms of our suppliers, the last point here is pinpoint challenges, areas that need addressing. This is really key. Everything happens so fast in perishable agriculture that the faster that you can identify an issue and start to address it, the better you're going to be going forward, because these things tend to exponentially grow. And so if we see that, you know, there's cracking in our bell peppers, the faster we can see that here at the warehouse, the faster we can get them the information and they can start to address the issue. Let's see, I've been kind of jumping around here, but I think I hit most of what was on this slide.
No, that's great. And, you know, it's interesting when you talk about catching issues earlier. You know, we've all seen sort of the charge that the longer an issue is not detected, the costlier it is. So I think that's an important.
And it's not linear.
Brought up again. And
it's not linear. Yeah, it's exponential, at least in our business. So one of the interesting things about this, and I'm sure this is common with this kind of thing, is we have a QA manager who actually used to be with USDA for many years, and he came over here, and he was very used to doing things a certain way. And there was actually amongst the entire organization some resistance in the beginning to change. And once we got over that hump to where everybody sees what we can actually do now, he's like a kid in a candy store. I mean, he just, oh, well, maybe we could do this, and wouldn't it be great if we could do this, and all these things that we never thought about before that were never actually contemplated when we got into this tablet technology in terms of what we can actually do with the data. It's really an exciting time for the company because you know, it's something that we didn't realize how helpful it was going to be for us. And we're using a very limited scope because we don't do any handling and we're just trying to take a snapshot. But actually this mobile technology is just perfect for us for what we want to do in terms of managing our QA. So the second thing I wanted to say is about when I got into this, in my mind, I thought, okay, we're going to take paper forms and we're going to turn them into digital forms of some manner, and I understood that from a record keeping and data access perspective, that part's really important. But what I didn't really fully grasp going into it was things like trend analysis. I did understand the real-time reporting, but I don't think I understood how effective it would be until I actually saw it, and that is to different key stakeholders. And then on the customer side, I hadn't really even thought about how much it would help our sales staff. I was really thinking about providing feedback to the growers. So I guess my point is we didn't just copy these paper forms into a digital format. This technology sort of on its own changed our entire process in how we do these four things, which I'm going to go back here and look. The collection, the analysis, the distribution, and the record keeping. And the impact, I mentioned actual numerical impact. It's lower costs, and because we have more confidence in our product, we take our brand, Plain Jane, very seriously. It has an excellent reputation. We've always tried to maintain that reputation through QA, and so anything like this that makes us more effectively able to protect our brand is very, very valuable to us.
Great. That's a lot of good information, and thank you. It's interesting, as I'm sure everyone knows, when we plan these sessions, we certainly like to talk with our speakers a bit about what's going to be discussed, but Alejandro, you went really to some areas that I really appreciate, and I know that the audience did too. When you talk about limited scope, but translated to a really big impact, and I appreciate you sharing your story. If you could stay on with us too, some questions have come in for you specifically at the end, but I am going to go ahead and move on to our next story. Travis, are you still with us? Travis with SROriginals?
Yes, indeed. Hello, how are you?
Good. Good morning or midday to you. Thank you also for joining us, and real excited to share your perspective of usage. Again, quality, safety as well, but a bit different than how Apache is utilizing technology. But I think as the audience will see, the impact is very similar. So with that, Travis, why don't you just share a little bit of background on SROriginals, give us some context to what we'll be talking about today.
Sure. So SRO was founded about 21 years ago, so we're old enough to drink now. Private company, we customize desserts for a variety of customers. Most of them are limited time offers, so we have to have the flexibility to run a certain product, maybe just 3 months. And though we do also have products that have been staples for our customers for the last 10, 15 years. And so we're constantly innovating and constantly changing our core items that we sell to all our customers. So that's a big challenge. We primarily run out of 2 facilities. The mothership is based in Colorado, and so we do most of our products here. North Carolina is a unique facility in that most of the products that we run there are done every day. But Colorado, we change every day. So this week we're doing this product, the next week we're doing this product, and so that even changes daily. So we don't do the same thing every day, and so that's been a real challenge for us. We provide desserts for Darden restaurants, Starbucks. There's quite a few things out there that you would be surprised if you knew where it originated from. So we do about $300 million in revenue a year just in sales from all those desserts. And so yeah, we do just a variety of things. Like I said, primarily there's about 300 active products. So within a week, we might run 50 different items for 25 or so different customers, and that changes, every year. We introduce, I think, 120 new products last year. We're on schedule to introduce 150 brand new products this year. Some of them have the same specs as older products. Some of them are completely new. So we have just a whole new way of doing things sometimes when these products will come out. We are subjected to 40, 50 audits per year. We're SQF certified, but a lot of these audits come from our customers, and because they want to make sure that what we're doing is right, that we're providing them with safe foods. And so they will audit our systems. Just the last 2 weeks, really, I've been in nothing but audits. One customer stayed for 3 days. Another customer just stayed for 1 day. And so sometimes those audits are really detailed, sometimes they're not. But they're always checking our records. They're always looking at our processes and trying to help us improve with some of our processes. That's a big deal that goes on a lot. One of our key challenges with this, since we have so many different products, was just to keep up with all the product specifications. And then we are really customer friendly in that if this customer wants a cake and they want it 1 inch and they want it 2 inches long and they want it 3 ounces, well, we'll customize it and make it just the way they want it. And if they want us to check on water activity, for instance, we'll add that check in the process, along with all of our own processes, like checking for bacteria, microbiological organisms, and things of that nature, along with metal detection checks that we'll do on every product. We also make everything product specific, and we really invite our customers to put in the parameters that they want to have on their individual products. So we have to customize a ton of our specs just to match our customers' needs. And so, as you can imagine with that, like Alejandro referred to a basement, well, we had pallets of just boxes of, okay, this is February. This is February for Chili's. This is January. So it's just big chaotic mess, We're jumping over pallets and just to find data and paperwork on really important data. And so, I mean, as you can imagine, that's just a horrible way of allocating time. I mean, certainly I can do better than spending 2 days searching for an oven log. That's horrible. And so, I mean, even though it was somewhat organized, it just didn't make a lot of sense. And so that's one of the reasons we wanted to go to this mobile usage and utilize technology for what it is. Instead of staying in the Stone Age.
And I think that's a great analogy there.
So, yeah, we basically went from paper-based forms. Everything was done on paper. So you write your name, shift, what product you're working on, what portion of the product you're covering, and all these other nuances. And then you're taking checks, you're weighing cake, you're weighing icing, you're checking the temperatures of this and that. And so we needed a way to just be able to keep track of all of that in one place and not have, I remember days where a tech would be covering one item, and at the end of the shift, they're turning in 25 pieces of paper that all need to be sorted and put in their proper places. Well, that can that can be cumbersome too for the person who has to sort and sign off on all of these things. So what was really beneficial for us in terms of safety chain is we were able to take basic templates. These 20 products are alike, they're cupcakes, and so no matter who we're making it for, we know we have the paper, we have the actual cupcake that goes around it. We might have a filling, we might have a topping. So, you know, as we modified and made those particular forms or specs customer friendly or based on just our customers' wants and needs, we'd only have to tweak one or two items in that form. And so now we had a way to collect data on all our cupcakes and as well as make all our customers happy and do it in a much more efficient way. We have about 7,000 forms. Like I said, we've got 300 different customers, or excuse me, products. They're always in rotation. This week we're using this. The next week we're using that. This day we're doing these 3 things. The next day we're doing another 2 things. And, you know, so we have all these forms, and what we're able to do is just allocate the ones we're going to be using. So I only need to put 1,000 forms on a tablet, and now all of my users, all of my QA personnel can just pull up those individual forms and report on those products as they need it. And so, I mean, this has been a huge thing for us. I mean, we can just track this data, and as Alejandro alluded to earlier, we can report on those things. I mean, and we have all this information instantly. I know what we used to do is respond to a problem the next day because that's how long it took to review data work, maybe even 2 days. And so we've gotten to a point where, well, we can review it now because it happened now. We can look at it now. We can make corrections now. And so we're able to pull up oven logs on a whim. If we think we're having a problem, we can look at metal detection checks in the whim. Or if we just want to make sure we're doing things right. I mean, we have all this information and it's easily accessible. And, you know, it makes going through audits a breeze. I know we used to spend, you know, maybe a week just preparing for an audit because we'd have to go to the pallets, and if it's for a particular customer, we try to segregate everything for that customer on that pallet, and it was just crazy. It was chaos, and I don't really know how we survived that long using that way of retrieving information. We just had a bunch of gophers. We'd sit around going through an audit. Okay, now you go get this. Okay, we need to look at this. Go get this. And it was crazy. But I really love it. Well, I love it now because I really do just sit back in audits and just punch a few keys and pull up every piece of information that audits are looking for, and everything is clear, concise, is orderly. Names are in the correct places, times are in the correct places, and so it makes presenting that information a lot easier.
You know, it's interesting, Travis, when we were speaking previously, you were sort of sharing your different components that you wanted to discuss today. You know, the whole notion, and you touched on this about having that data today, right? And not the end of the day,
yes,
but when it's happening. I know you shared a story, and I'm trying to remember, it had to do with near and dear to my heart, some cupcakes or something, about being able to adjust something on the fly because you're seeing that something's coming in that's non-compliant. Do you recall that or something to that? I'd love that story if you have to share that.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of them, and I'm thinking of 2. And we had a customer come in, and they weren't happy with our data keeping abilities, and you know, that was pretty much the whole reason of the meeting, and they wanted us to be able to reassure them that they could keep that we could keep track of the information that they wanted. And so, I showed them the system that we were going to, Safety Chain, and I said, I showed them what their forms would look like, and they had some special requests. Well, we want to see this, that, and the other as well. And so, fortunately, that was at the beginning of the meeting, and so, I got on my computer, did what I needed to do, and, by meeting's end, I was able to show them in real time the form that we would be using to track all of the data that they wanted us to track. And I made a few fake submissions and submitted those to the system in real time, showed them what our inspection process will look like. Alejandro mentioned that, yeah, you'll get a failure notification, so I was able to show them that in real time, all within an hour, and so they were really impressed with our system and how quickly we could upgrade it and modify it to their liking, and so it was really a great selling point for them. We were able to keep their business.
Great, thank you. And I think this sort of emailed, and you've already touched on this, but I'll go ahead and just ask you to just really talk about from, distilling down the results being achieved. They look very, very similar to what Alejandro shared as well. But if you wouldn't mind just sort of, rolling that information up again, I'd appreciate it.
Well, sure. So we can catch issues as they're happening, so we don't have to wait to respond. I mean, an email goes out, I can pull it up, I can check in, I can go and look and see the details of that particular form. I can see that this temperature was out of spec, and so now I can react to that right now. We can have our techs react to that immediately, and so we don't have to wait till tomorrow. And it's kind of a culture change because we're used to waiting till tomorrow. Oh, no, this happened. Oh, no, that happened. Well, now we can be a little more proactive and address issues as they pop up. And that's really important to us, and it's also important to our customers because we stay in control of our product, and we can make sure that we're providing quality, whereas in our old system, we kind of let things go a little too far. But now we're able to react quickly and respond in a timely manner and fix things, and it doesn't have to snowball out of control. We can take control initially. And so, yeah, when our customers have a complaint, should they have a complaint, we can respond to them immediately. If we have a complaint saying it appears this cake was underbaked, well, within 5 minutes of receiving that email or that information, I can send them something back. Well, this is the data that we have of that lot number of that for that particular product, and we're just able to respond to our customers more quickly. And then also internally, I mean, all this stuff is available, and so I can pull reports like nobody's business and really investigate things that would have taken us days to do in the past. So that's the real benefit of this. Like, everything is available right now, and that's pretty much the world we live in. Audits are wonderful because I literally sat through the last couple audits drinking coffee, and just whenever they wanted to see something, I just pulled it up, and it was clear and concise, and they were very happy with this system and our management of it.
Right. I think I'm going to pull that quote out. Audits are wonderful without any other context, and I think everyone online will be like, what is he talking about? But obviously, in the context of what you just stated, we're delighted to hear that. I have an image of you just putting your feet up on your desk and turning your monitor around going, here you go. So, no, thank you for that. Anything else you want to share on the results being achieved, or should we chat a little bit about sort of the adoption and lessons learned?
Yeah, let's go to adoption and some of the lessons that we learned. One thing, so older folks, you know, they're not sure if they want to make these transitions, but younger people, and that's what most of our QA personnel is, it's kind of an entry-level job, so a lot of them are under 25. Well, they've been working with mobile phones and Facebook and Google. They've been doing this almost all their life. And so, you know, taking this from paper and putting it on a tablet really went well, because they're used to posting Facebook. They're used to attaching a picture to something. They're used to instant messaging, and so because of that, the adoption of these tablets has been very well, has gone very well here. We have almost 50 active users, most of them belong in QA. And what we're really trying to do, I mean, it's worked so well, we're trying to figure out, okay, so how can sanitation use this? How can our warehouse department use this? You know, we have to check out, we have to evaluate trucks as they come in and bring our ingredients in. So we use our tablets to monitor what they're bringing in and make certain critical checks. So, you know, some things are brought to us frozen. Some things are brought to us just on a cooler. Some things are dry ingredients, and it doesn't matter. Some things are allergens, and so we use these tablets to identify everything that's coming in, and is it in a great condition coming in. And so we use it throughout the entire process here. You know, the same thing as with the items that we have going out. And so we're trying to figure out just different ways for sanitation to use it. We now have every piece of equipment labeled, and so now sanitation can mark off that they've cleaned this, that, and the other. They can mark off, and more importantly for us, since we're SQF compliant, be able to report against things that have been contaminated with an allergen. Was it clean? When was it clean? The timeliness of that cleaning. You know, every form we have is pretty much time-stamped, and so these are things that are very important to our customers and to auditors as well. And so I think this is kind of a challenge, we're finally able to do things right now, meaning I'm not waiting to put a Band-Aid on a cut that happened yesterday. I can address it right now before it gets infected. And so before things snowball out of control, we're able to address things immediately. I think one of the biggest things we learned as far as our network, since you know, we're using tablets, we need them to be able to connect to our network. Well, one of the things we hadn't considered is how many tablets we'd be using, and then what network they would be using, what kind of speed we would need to have to perform optimally. So one of the things we've had to do, we've had to break up and compartmentalize our network so that not everybody with a computer or a laptop or a printer or a cell phone or a smartphone, or we have smart TVs, and all of that was on a network, and it would sometimes bog things up, especially during work hours. So we've been able to split up our networks, and now everything flows freely when we're using our tablets. So that was something that we hadn't thought of initially. Another thing that we've employed is food-safe cases. I had to order some food-safe cases for all the tablets that we have, and they're shatterproof. You can drop them, and you don't have to worry about glass or plastic falling into your product. So that's a big deal too. But we've gotten past that, and you know, we've moved on, and I really like how these are working for us right now.
Great. And again, just sort of summing up, and you've already gone through this, but just sort of the overall impact, if I could just make a little note there. When our customers share sort of the lessons learned, we then take that information, sort of deploy that throughout. So the comment about the server then, you know, while we do make advice on that, that's an area that as part of our customer delivery that we also share that message and talk and work with our customers on that as well. So when you talk about just from an overall impact, and I think that sort of, you know, predicates on both stories that we've heard today, would you mind just sort of summing up for us today, Travis?
Sure. So ultimately, we're just, I like this because we're able to meet the demands of our customers, and with everything that changes, everything that maneuvers within, especially this Colorado facility, we're able to meet those challenges quickly and effectively. I mean, if we make a company-wide policy change, the update to all 7,000 forms can be as quick as 10 minutes. It could also take about 2 hours, you know what I mean? And well, what I mean is in the programming of the apps, you might have to make some changes, but normally any change you make can be seen within 2-3 minutes. So as soon as you upload it to Safety Chain, you just refresh your tablet. Wow, you can see the changes, and so that's something that has helped us immensely. And it helps us ensure quality, safety throughout our plants. I mean, so. And then we're able to track and trend on all of these items. I think that's really important. Like the amount of data and the availability of it is just, it's kind of overwhelming, considering that I used to have to dig and then have to break out a calculator and, you know, to track and trend items. This is done so effortlessly. It's literally a couple of clicks. We're able to show all our data to our customers, and it's clear, it's concise. I mean, we work in a dessert company, so imagine our paper records around chocolate cakes. I mean, you know, things are actually legible. I mean, so just from people's handwritings or just the environment that we have, things could get messy easily. Well, we've eliminated that, and it's really just typing a few keystrokes, knowing what you're looking for, pulling a report, and being able to show it. And that's impressed all our auditors and our customers as well, because everything is just laid out perfectly. Yeah.
No, thank you for that. And, you know, it's just interesting, right? When we start talking about this topic in general, and we start brainstorming, you know, with both Alejandro and Travis on this, really uncovering all the different components of the impact is just been very informative. And I have everyone online with us still here. I appreciate you staying on board here to hear the stories as well. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here because there were a few questions that came in that I want to be able to get to. So Travis, Alejandro, if you just hang on for a few more minutes, and we'll do our best to stop at the top of the hour, and whatever questions we don't get to, we'll try to address offline. But again, if I could just sort of circle back to really the overarching goal, right, of food safety and quality, it's delivering a safe, quality product. And I think the sort of stories we've heard today really talks about the impact that mobile technology can have in optimizing your operations and really driving that operational performance. You know, getting back to, again, the program design, but the execution and being able to modify that design as trends come up and on the fly, as Travis just spoke about. That data intelligence, getting information when you need it, the earliest point possible is the best way to manage issues, but also for continuous improvement, and then the record management. And I know Alejandro said that's not everyone's favorite topic, but it's his, and it's very understandable when you talk about the visual of where records are typically kept in operations, having that impact with our technology. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up a few questions we had. Of course, being from Safety Chain, I'd be remiss not to mention our solution, our comprehensive platform plus mobile apps, and give this online. I'm not going to waste today to talk through that, but again, just some stories our customers shared. There were a few questions that did come in that I'm going to quickly address, ask to be addressed. One, in regards to, and Travis, I'll put this to you if we can, in regards to audits, and really the question, I'm not going to read the whole question, but it's more around the audit, the efficacy of it, right? When you think about your day in, day out, the performance of program execution, that the built-in workflows and processes, and within tablets, people can't get to the next question often, right, if they haven't answered it, and if there's an issue, the alerts are all right there. But if you could share a little bit your experience with auditors and the sort of the efficacy of the data that's being brought up, I would appreciate it.
Sure. Well, with pretty much every form we use, there's a timestamp on it. Our users have their own profiles, so when John Doe logs in, every form that he uses is being signed off as John Doe. So we know who's performing the checks. We know what time they're performing the checks because of the timestamps. And so the verification and the validation of that data is just right there. It's there for you to see. It's plain to see. And then it's organized in an efficient way. So it's really obvious what you're looking at. You're looking at a metal detection check, and John Doe performed it, and he did it at 6:19 this morning, and he did another one at 7:18 this morning, and then the one after that was at 9:15. So whatever standards that you have, you can apply those to those forms. If something needs to be done every 2 hours, you can program the tablet to do that, to alert the user every 2 hours. They can go perform that task, and you see it when you run the report for that particular form. I just use metal detection as an example, but whatever processes that you have, you can streamline it through this, and when you're pulling the data for it, it's really clear and concise. I can't stress enough. I just remember using paper and wondering, somebody put their initials on it, and JW, that doesn't help you, you know what I mean? But knowing that it was John Williams instead of Jane Williams, who also worked for you, is really important. And as far as editing documents, if John Doe performed a check and you need to fix it, well, my username is now on that, and it shows that John Williams performed the original check, but Travis Connally came over and edited that form, and he had to include a comment on it. I mean, so it's great for corrective actions and things of that nature.
And
auditors are very pleased when they see it. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And we do hear that, often when we talk to other customers and their auditors. And I think auditors are becoming more used to seeing things online, but still in that early adoption stage in some respects. The other question that came in, and Alejandro, if you're still with us, I just want to address that with you, and then we'll wrap up here. But I thought it was an interesting one. It's just in regards to the technology, and you sort of touched on this, but have you ever used it as a differentiator, sort of a competitive advantage in trying to win new clients?
We actually have. We last year we had a grower in Mexico shipping us cucumbers, and part of our sales pitch was that we have this mobile technology and we can do these quality inspections. They were excited about it, and it worked out very well with them. As it turns out, for other issues, we did not continue with that grower this year. And the two growers that we've got currently are both very large growers that are advanced in their thinking, and we've been with them for a long time, and so that wasn't, it's not really an issue of selling to them. But we, going forward, for sure, you know, I should have mentioned this when I was talking, that I mentioned the cost savings part, how that's something that we can do for our suppliers. That's an easy one, but also the efficiency of being able to get them the information is a big selling point for us as a distributor versus a competitor that maybe is doing things the old way. If I'm a grower and I look at two distributors and one's got mobile technology and one doesn't, I'm really going to be hesitant to go with somebody that really isn't, you know, on the forefront of the technology that's available.
Great. No, thank you. And I know, Travis, you touched on this as far as, you know, you had a prospect that was in and you were able to show sort of your processes that you do from a mobile standpoint as well. So it's a great information. So with that, we are a little bit over the hour. I really appreciate everyone that's staying on with us as well. Certainly a big, big thank you to both Alejandro and Travis for sharing your stories. I know how busy your schedules are, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share with our audience today. As the session wraps up, the recording will absolutely be sent out. You will be getting that next week. If you have any more information or requests, certainly please let us know. There'll be a post form pop-up. We are out there. BRC conference is coming up, Food Safety Summit. I know a lot of our folks in the industry are at those things, so look forward to seeing everyone there. But again, I just really appreciate both our speakers today sharing the impact as the industry continues to adopt and use emerging technologies. I do hope everyone found this as insightful as I did, and I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.